Love lives here.
So, question for you. I asked this question for you in the email, but can a leopard change its spots? Can a leopard change its spots? That's not that hard of a question. Let's try this again. Everybody get your coffee, take a sip. Can a leopard change its spots? No, a leopard cannot change its spots because its spots are its spots. It cannot change its spots. However, are you a leopard? No. So, can you change? Yes. All right. Good. I'm glad we're in agreement on that one. Whew. So, a leopard can't change its spots. And so when we say a leopard can't change its spots, frequently what we're talking about when we refer to a person and we say a leopard can't change its spots is like, oh yeah, he's a liar. He is always a liar. He will always be a liar. A leopard does not change its spots, cannot change its spots, meaning that he's a liar and he's not going to change it, right? As our beautiful Maya Angelou said, when a person shows you who they are the first time, believe them, right? And I will say that a leopard can't change its spots, meaning a person can't change their innate nature. That part of it is true, their innate nature, because what is their innate nature, my beloveds? God, the divine, right? The divine doesn't change. So the who of who you are, the who of who we are, our very essence, the core of our being is spirit made manifest, and spirit doesn't change, correct? So in that sense, our innate nature means that we are like a leopard, we can't change our spots, we can't change our innate nature because our very innate nature, who we are, is the divine made manifest. However, when we equate our characteristics, when we equate our behaviors, and especially our unskilled behaviors or somebody else's unskilled behaviors, because heaven forbid, I don't have any unskilled behaviors, but when we equate somebody else's unskilled behaviors with the who of who they are, that's where we get into trouble. Because now the act of lying suddenly becomes the verb becomes the noun liar. And then we assign liar to the person. And then we say, oh, a leopard can't change its spots because he's a liar. And he can't change his spots. But what we've done, my beloveds, is we have made a mistake. In other words, in other language that might provoke you, you've sinned. Right? Not I, right? Right? Because all sinning is making a mistake, right? Leslie got verklempt. She was having to fan herself. Oh, no, not me. Right? Right? Gasp, clutch the pearls. Right? So all it means is that we have made a mistake, my friends. We have equated their behavior with their nature. Not their character, but with their nature, right? And so we have now assigned them being a liar that is their nature. It's so inbred in them. They came out of the womb lying right away, right? Doesn't quite happen that way, right? As we've been discussing, as we've been learning over the past few months, right? There's the whole cycle of socialization. There's the whole cycle of liberation, breaking the cycle of socialization, right? So, and then last week we talked about the drama triangle, right? So victim, villain, hero. And so when we are labeling liar, what are we doing? We're calling them the villain. Thank you, Alan. Somebody paid attention last week. Thank you, Alan. Good teacher, good student. So, right? So we're labeling them the villain. The minute we label them the villain, we are riding that drama triangle, aren't we? Now we're in the place of the victim. Or, if we're righteous about it, self-righteous about it, we're in the place of the hero. Remember? Yay! Oh, right? The melodrama. So by mislabeling, we are perpetuating the drama triangle. Still with me, Vicki? Uh-huh. Yep, I see you. So we're perpetuating the drama triangle. And how does it feel to be on the drama triangle? How did it feel last week being on the drama triangle? I think the word was ick, right? I think that was the word that we used was ick, right? We don't enjoy being on the drama triangle. We don't thrive on the drama triangle. The drama triangle actually pulls us down and takes us on a whole different path. So, with this point of lying, and he's a perpetual liar, he's never going to change. One of the things I want you to think about is, how often do you lie? Today? Yeah. Yes, today, right? How often do you lie? And you might be sitting there with your pearls like, I don't lie, right? And if I ask you, how are you doing today? And you say, fine, the likelihood of that being a lie is pretty strong. But the difference between that kind of a lie and a larger lie is that kind of a lie might be a lie of discernment, right? Because, you know what? You don't want to hear the drama that's going on in my life right now, nor do I want to share the drama that's going on in my life right now with you. I just want to, I just want you to bag my groceries so that I can leave the store, okay? So I'm going to lie to you, and I'm going to say, fine, right? But it's still lying. So there's the opportunity here of looking at where, when we point the finger at the liar or the lying, and we're pointing the finger, we have the opportunity then to look and say, hey, where do I do this? Because now I'm standing in accusation, I'm standing in judgment, I might even be standing in resentment, I might be holding a grudge or a grievance because of some transgression, or biblical term, some trespass, right? And so what about trespass? What does it say in the Lord's Prayer? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who've trespassed against us. Yes, right? So then what's the key factor there? Forgiveness. And who's forgiving? Us. Forgive us as we forgive, right? So forgive us in the same manner and the same degree and the same time. The as, in this case, is very important. And we were just talking about this last night, Ed and Leslie. How big is your as? Do you have a big as? Back that as up. Right? Right? Because the as is very important in that, because if I'm like, oh yeah, I forgive you. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of potency. There's not a whole lot of power behind that. There's not a whole lot of freedom behind that, is there? Because the whole idea is to live and be free, but the way we live, one of the ways we live, one of the key ways that we live is to forgive. So we forgive to live. Because what happens, my beloveds, is when there has been some kind of transgression, when there has been something that has happened to us, that has occurred to us, that we don't like, that somebody has done to us, right? We can stay in the victim role. That's the victim, villain, hero. We can stay in that victim, villain role, or we can rise above it. And how do we rise above it? We rise above it by taking responsibility, not for the action that occurred, but how we are going to deal with the effect of whatever the action was. Because the action has happened, and now we are left with the effect. And so we get to take ownership of the consequences. We get to accept the painful outcomes are now ours to deal with. And we also get to accept that any suffering or pain now lies in our hands. Because, as I've shared with you earlier this year, when I fired that woman years ago, and she saw me recently, I hadn't thought about her in years. Ain't nothing happening on my end. Blessing, I love you, bless you, right? And on her end, she was like, yeah, right? She was all kind of like nasty and just like, when she saw it, I mean, her face like, pursed her lips, like, right? And I'm like, honey, you've been holding on to that? I am so sorry. You've been holding on to the anger, the hurt, the disappointment, but yet that's not doing anything over here. I blessed you on your way to your highest and furthest good. But, right? And she was still holding it, still miserable, still thinking about that one incident in her very long life. And how sad and how heavy that had to have been and continues to be because of the lack of forgiveness. I don't need her to forgive me, right? I don't need her to forgive me. Where the forgiveness comes in, where the forgiveness happens is by shifting how she or you or I or we respond to and how we then hold it. If I were to continue to hold a grudge or continue to hold the grievance or continue to hold the accusation or the resentment, who is it really hurting? It's hurting me, right? My health suffers. My mental health suffers. My physical health suffers. I am now giving that person room to live in my brain, in my heart, rent-free. And not only that, but now I'm recognizing the person who hurt me in other people. It's like, oh yeah, you're just like that guy. Yeah. And so then that puts distance in other relationships. And that hurts as well. Because it's, once again, it's creating that sense of separation. Is it not? Yeah. So, we can still, as Ed said, hold people accountable for their actions. We are not saying that they are free of their responsibility. We are not saying that they are free of their accountability. And we are also no longer giving them the opportunity, because they're not doing it, but giving them the opportunity to live rent-free in our bodies, in our minds, and our spirits. And the minute we forgive, the minute we begin to do our forgiveness work, and we're not going to forget necessarily, but the minute we start to do our forgiveness work, we free ourselves, we unplug ourselves, we then have more freedom in our own life to pursue this joy that I have. The world can't take it from me. This love that I have, the world can't take it from me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Meaning, the world didn't give it, and this person that did me wrong can't take it away, right? Because the love that I am, the peace that I am, the joy that I am, right, is that unchangeable, innate nature that is the very truth of who I am and who I always will be. So my opportunity then, my beloveds, is to then step into the who of who I am, to remember who I am. Not only that, but to remember who the transgressor is. Because the truth of their nature, if there is only one life, one power, one presence, one love, the true truth of their nature, the true truth of their nature is that they too are love, joy, peace, harmony. That's who they have to be because they can't be anything else. They can show up in other ways, just like I can show up in other ways. But who they are is spirit itself. So the opportunity then is to first remember who you are. Remember who they are. And then deal with or respond to the transgression in a way that is healthiest for you. Sometimes that means holding a boundary. It's like, I'm not going to ever associate with that beloved ever again. But I'm also not going to carry them with me like a bag of rocks, like a backpack full of rocks. I'm no longer going to let them inflict pain in my life because they're not actually the ones inflicting the pain. I am. I'm causing my own suffering. Yes, there was pain in the moment. There was pain in the moment. But the continued pain, the continued suffering, that's not on them. That's right here. Because I'm carrying it. I'm holding it. I'm making that something that I feel is important to me. And it keeps me on the drama triangle. Oh, right? Keeps me in that victim role on the drama triangle. So, we recognize who we are. We recognize who they are. We recognize that this was an unskilled behavior. We recognize and we honor the pain that we are experiencing because the pain is real. And then we have the opportunity to forgive. Forgiveness is all about love for self. We forgive so that we may release it so that we no longer continue to carry the pain and suffering. Make sense? All right. So in a moment, we're going to go to tables. And you have 4 questions today. You do not have to discuss every question. I know that some of you have been like, okay, rapid fire, 4 questions, go. It doesn't have to be that way. There might be a question there that is really like speaking to the table. Go into depth with that question, or there might be multiple questions. Use the questions to start the conversation and have the conversation. So what these questions are designed to do today is they are designed to make you go a bit deeper with forgiveness. Who have you not forgiven? How does holding on to the resentment, judgment, and or accusation make you feel physically and emotionally and spiritually, if you want to add that? What is withholding forgiveness costing you? Because I know, because we are still in physical form, that there is someone or something, and it could be yourself, that still needs some forgiveness, and you're withholding it, and it's costing you something. And then finally, what will it take for you to forgive? Those are the questions posed to the table today. So for those of you joining us online, I invite you now to move into the Zoom room, and you see the Zoom room number and password there at the bottom of your screen. I invite you to move into the Zoom room and have the conversation. Join Mom and Zena and a few others in the Zoom room to have the conversation. And you can also take some time to journal the questions. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, you can take some time to journal the questions while we are having these conversations here in the room. All right? Sound good? Ready? Go. So, family can be a tricky, sticky wicket, right? And as Jabel was saying, a lot of times people have slighted you, or you've gotten mad, or somebody's done something to you, and they have no clue that they did anything, right? Somebody made a comment or something in passing, and you're all like, wrapped around the axle, and they're like, it was a comment. It was like, I was complimenting your hair. Okay. Ooh. Right? They have no idea, right? What they said. So the forgiveness piece begins where? Here. And then we move it forward, and then we move it forward, and we move it forward. So I'm going to invite my beloved friend, Reverend Leslie Goodwin from New Vision Center for Spiritual Living in Phoenix, Arizona, to come forth and to give you your homework assignment, your tool for thriving, because this is a tool that she created. And so I'm going to let her tell you about the tool. So, Reverend Leslie.
Hey, Riverside. Thank you for having me today. I'm delighted to be with you. So this is a tool that I created that we call Releasing the Rocks, and it has 5 steps, and you might want to take notes. I promise they're simple steps, but there are 5 of them. The first one is we're going to remember, do you remember Reverend Jeffrey saying, it's like you're dragging a backpack full of rocks? There's a reason he said it that way. And I invite you to think of the unhealed thing as a big, heavy, gnarly rock. It's got rough edges, it's scraping your back as you're walking, and you're just dragging this thing everywhere you go. Everywhere you go is this big rock. And I invite you to, rather than think of my relationship with my mother, think of one instance. The time my mother told me I didn't look good in my wedding dress. That's fictional, but ooh, that would be grinding my gears even still if that had happened, right? One little slice. Just think of that one slice as this big rock. That's step 1. Step 2 is a journaling process that you do for yourself where you say the person's name, Emily, comma, I forgive you for, and one of the things you're willing to forgive them for from that instance. Emily, I forgive you for calling me fat. Emily, I forgive you for being mean on a nice day. Emily, I forgive you, and you just keep writing. Emily, I forgive you for whatever comes up. Now, there's this tendency, my friends, maybe not in you, but in me, to be so sacred and so holy that I don't want to say the thing that is yapping in my head. Like, Emily, I forgive you for being a bleepy, bleep, and bleeper bleep. Say it. Get it all out. This is a dumping out process. You're not going to mail it to her. It's safe, I promise. When you have wrung that sponge clean dry, you turn the page and you write your own name. Leslie, I forgive myself for caring what Emily thought. Leslie, I forgive myself for abandoning myself in that situation. I forgive myself for not speaking up. I forgive myself for even inviting her to the darn appointment. I forgive myself for all the times I let somebody's opinion get in my head. And you just keep going until you've wrung that sponge out too. Might take a couple minutes. Now you're tired, right? Because you wrung 2 whole sponges out. So we're tired, so it's natural to close our eyes and think of that backpack with that big old rock. And we're going to visualize taking the rock out and chucking it into the biggest body of water we can think of. We're letting it go. And after we hear a very satisfying plop in our mind, we're going to take just a moment of appreciation for whatever good came out of that situation. Was it a moment of realization of being present to your own needs? Is it even the realization that you can put the rock down? Something good came from it. And just seal that release with a bit of gratitude and let it be. Those are our 5 steps. Visualize it as a rock. Forgive the other person for all the things. Forgive yourself for all the things. Throw the rock and take a moment in gratitude. And enjoy it.
Thank you. So give Reverend Leslie a hand there.
All right.
So you have your marching orders. You have your task for the week. And I invite the rest of you to go ahead and close your eyes and let's come together in consciousness. So right here, right now, recognizing that there just is this one life, this one power, this one presence, this one infinite, eternal isness that is in all, through all, as all. That is the life, that is the love, that lives, moves, breathes, and has its being in, through, and as each one of us gathered here, that we are one with this one, inseparable from it, recognizing that it is the true nature of who each one is, recognizing that it is our true nature, and that true nature is changeless. For we are love made manifest. That is our power, that is our purpose in life, to be the power and presence of love made manifest here and now in this form, in this time, doing the light that we have been called to do, doing the work that we have been called to do, that is ours to do. And we are doing a great work, and we cannot come down. And so I give thanks for the yes, for the sacred yes of each one here, and their willingness to release, to let go, to forgive, to make space in their hearts, to remind themselves, to remember themselves of who and whose they are, of what their true nature is. And I am grateful for their willingness to see that in their neighbor, in their friends, and in those who have trespassed against them. Knowing that there simply is love present, and it is this love that we call forward here and now. And it is in this love, it is in this forgiveness that we are truly free. So I simply give thanks. I release this word, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. And so I invite everyone to please stand and let us say our affirmation, this week's affirmation. I forgive so that I may live. Let's hear it together, nice and loud, so it's like truthful and powerful. 1, 2, 3. I forgive so that I may live. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it, I share it, I receive it, and I move love forward because love lives here. Let's